What could you do to protect your pets if you're sick or injured? My product, Save My Pet ID tag, helps you ensure that your beloved pets are safe and well cared for, even when life isn't what you expect.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. Yep, it's me, Arden Moore. Give me an R for rescue. Give me an F for foster. Now, I don't know if our guest in a previous life was ever a cheerleader, but she definitely is there to rally pets in need of forever homes. And she does a lot in the pet world, and we're going to dive into it. So at this time, please welcome to our show with a big pause and applause, the founder of Starlight Outreach and Rescue, my friend, Amy Castro. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you do a lot of good for pets in need, and we want people to understand there's people out there, Amy, that may have a nice dog or a cat at home, or maybe they don't have any pets, and they've got this burning desire. Maybe, just maybe, I could be a good foster parent. But you got to have more than good intentions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need to go into anytime you bring a pet into your home, whether it's a foster or your own, you want to go into it having done your homework and go into it with your eyes open, because it's not always going to be rainbows and bunny rabbits and roses.
Yeah, you could have things. So let's back up the bus, because we are going to be unleashing some really good insights into making a success as a foster parent with our guest, Amy Castro. Well, we got to find out a little bit about her. So don't worry, I don't want you to go back to the days of diapers. But what is it in you that said, I really want to be helping animals?
I just have always been an animal lover from childhood, and I always thought I would volunteer at a shelter, and it took me years to get involved in doing that. I worked at a veterinarian's office all through high school and college, so I got to see well pets and injured pets and really enjoyed being able to care for them. So I've kind of always had that in me. And then when they built our local city shelter pretty much across the street from my neighborhood, I had no more excuses as to, volunteering at a shelter. So I basically got involved there, and everything took off from that volunteering position.
So where was there?
That was in Friendswood, Texas.
All right. I know where Dallas is. I know where Houston is. And I know Dallas is a huge state. Where is your hometown?
It is basically a suburb of Houston. So it's southwest or so of Houston, between Houston and Galveston.
So you picked the name Starlight Outreach and Rescue. And you also have a company, Starlight Pet Talk, but you've changed the name of that podcast. But what is the importance of Starlight for you?
So when I was volunteering at Friendswood Animal Control, I had a mom and daughter, Emma and Shelly, that fostered kittens for us. And Emma kept the kittens in her bathroom and turned the spicy ones, as we like to say, the hissy, spitty little kittens, and turned them into lovable balls of fluff so that we could get them adopted. And tragically, Emma passed away in October of 2017. And it just so happens that her middle name was Starlight. There's a long story behind that. The short version is her brother wanted to name the baby, and they were like, okay, thinking that he would pick a name, and he picked Starlight. Yeah, and he picked Starlight, and so it's like, okay, well, that can be her middle name. So
I know that. So this is a tribute to her.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it was almost. It was just kind of a divine intervention, or whatever you want to call it. The universe just basically told me, I need to do this. I knew exactly what I needed to call the rescue. I knew what the logo was going to look like. I mean, it all just kind of fell into place. And we were up and running by December of that same year. So I don't mess around once I decide to do something.
No, I don't think you do. So since your initial launch, can you give people an idea of some stats? How many cats, dogs have you been able to put in foster homes and hopefully find homes for?
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, we probably average, we're a relatively small rescue, and we're mostly foster based, which is why this discussion is
Tell
so
people
important.
what that means.
What that means is we don't have a shelter building where all the animals are housed. If
Okay.
we take an animal in, we have to have a volunteer foster who is willing to bring that animal into their home. So the number of fosters that we have basically directly impacts the number of pets that we can take in. But we probably average 250 animals a year.
That's nice. Cats, dogs, any other types?
Mostly cats, because that tends to be easier for people to stash, for lack of a better term. It's not as easy to fill your house with dogs or we have had litters of puppies, but kittens with a mama cat, that's pretty easy to put in a spare room and the mama does a lot of the work, things like that.
But you have a good heart. You have good intentions. But you've got to make sure that the foster parents have certain qualities and their homes have certain safety things. Can you talk about that, Amy?
Absolutely. Obviously, we want people that love pets, but I think sometimes people love pets almost too much.
Yeah.
And then that can become a challenge when an animal is ill or when they're feeling bad about keeping an animal closed in a spare room and they want to let it out in their house, which is not always a good thing to do, especially right away when you first bring an animal home. So,
Okay, I'm going to play the dumb card. Amy, why is that a dumb thing to do?
well, and it kind of depends. If the animal is coming from another foster or is coming from a facility and they have had that animal quarantined for different diseases, things like that, then you might be okay to let them out and about. But if you have other pets, if you have children, things like ringworm, which is the scourge of my existence, that can take 3 weeks to actually show up. And so every time you let that animal roam all over your house, you're exposing everyone and everything to that potential disease. So that's probably the number one thing. And there's a variety of things that could be contagious to humans or to other pets. So you definitely want to minimize that exposure.
So keep them cozy to prevent cooties.
There you go. That's a good
There's
one.
a t-shirt logo there, right there.
Yes,
So, but you
definitely.
can make a room or a bathroom a nice abode for a newbie, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're talking about fostering cats.
Yeah.
I mean, all they need is a bed to lay on, their litter box, their food and water, and they'll find all kinds of things to explore in there. Again, during the quarantine period, we ask people to minimize those things because, for example, if you decided, I'm going to put a cat tower in that bathroom, if that kitten does turn out or that cat does turn out to have ringworm or something like that, you're going to have to throw that tower away. There's no satisfactory cleaning option for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a bite out of the wallet, right? Well, cats are
Yes.
vertical. I mean, and what's the deal with cats and sinks, right?
Somebody just sent me a picture of a cat that she's fostering for me, and she's hanging out in my sink. I think it retains their body heat and stays warm for a while. So,
And it's perfect. It's like a circle. So it's like cats have that flexible spine, right?
that's right. It makes a good little nest.
All right. We talked about cooties,
Yes.
but you also are talking about introductions. And I have a well-mannered dog named Kona. We just went to see family. And we brought Kona and Emma. They were invited to our my brother-in-law's house. And then one of the guests said, well, I got a 13-year-old dog named Tank that's a dachshund that's sitting in the back in the car. It was a nice day. I think I'll just bring Tank in. And I said, hang on. And I said, let me make the intros. So with my two dogs, we had Tank be in the house looking out to the backyard through the glass door, and I had Kona and Emma, and I just wanted to monitor them. Everybody have nice breathing, no hyperness. And then I brought Kona in, who's a certified therapy dog, and let Kona meet Tank. Things went well. Then I had my friend kind of have Kona ushered, and we brought in little Emma, and then we all went outside. And please tell me I did the right thing, Coach.
I think so. I mean, obviously you're an experienced dog handler, and you've got a therapy dog, so that's that brings a certain level of comfort. Probably the only thing I do differently is I start outdoors with the
Yes,
introductions.
okay,
That
okay.
way you're not in somebody's particular territory, and but Perfect. I mean, doing the
Yeah,
introduction.
when we were at a guest house, so it wasn't our turf. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Even better, right? So, yeah, introducing them one at a time, watching the reactions. I think too many times people don't know what they're looking for even in their own dog's body language. What can look like happy could be too much excitement and can trigger a reaction on the part of another dog, especially if they're nervous and it's new territory for them.
That's
so, yes,
right.
Careful introductions are definitely important. And it's the same with cats, too. The worst thing you can do is just come flouncing into your house with a new pet and let go of the leash or open that carrier and then just see what happens.
Okay, so we're going to dive into that, but we got to take a quick break. The time goes by really fast. Everyone, we're speaking with Amy Castro of Starlight Outreach and Rescue. We're going to learn more what it takes to be a good foster parent, but we got to take a break, and you all know the drill. Sit, stay. We'll be right back.
This is Janice Cobb of Save My Pet ID Tag. Engraved with your pet's info, they allow emergency personnel to start care for your pets if you're sick or injured. Head over to SaveMyPetIDTag.com and explore our products. They ensure peace of mind for you and for your four-legged family.
Hey, have you heard? Four-Legged Life has a new digital newsletter. Here, let me show you how you get yourself subscribed. So you just type in Four-Legged Life, and that'll take you to the website. There we go. And this magic thing just appears, and you type in your email address. I'll use, let's see, how about coolestdogever@gmail.com. That's me. And then you just click on this thing here. There you go. It's the new digital newsletter from Four-Legged Life. Get subscribed today.
We're talking with Amy Castro of the Starlight Outreach and Rescue Group. I like this gal. She's got good common sense. She has a big heart, and she helps save animals and find forever homes. So we talked about a little bit about some dog cautions when you have a foster dog and your own dog. You really got to watch your own temperament, right? Because they smell our emotional state, right, Amy?
Absolutely. So you want to be calm and confident in the way that you are introducing the animals so that they don't pick up. If you're nervous and you're worried and you're all tense, then they're going to pick up on that and they're going to say, well, mom's worried or dad's worried, whoever, maybe I should be worried too. And you don't want, that's not what you want. So
what about baby talking or oh my gosh, I think I just popped the wax out of my ears.
Ouch. Yeah, I think people just talk too darn much in the process, and especially being excited and having that high-pitched voice, that just creates more excited energy. So I think the less talking, the better, and let the body language speak for all of you.
So we're going to the other species, the prey, the predator, the hunter, the hunted. We're talking CAT. So they kind of make friends on their own time, don't they?
Yes, they do. I mean, some are just very outgoing, but that's fairly rare. And even if that animal is familiar with, let's say, dogs, let's say you're bringing home a foster cat and the cat has been with other dogs, that doesn't mean that's going to react the same way to your dog. So you still want to introduce them as if they've never met that, whatever that animal is.
So
or
what
dog.
is the best way? The cat has been quarantined, and you got the green light from the veterinarian that they don't have any kitty cooties. Mm-hmm. So what is the best way for a foster parent who may have a cat of their own who's been curious at that door? Maybe it's in the bathroom, maybe it's a spare room, wondering who is this cat on the other side of that door? What's the safest way to make that introduction?
What I like to do is to bring out the new cat in a carrier and put that carrier somewhere where it can be at eye level. Like you said, and that's why it's so good to keep them in the bathroom, but not necessarily isolate them so nobody can get near that door once the quarantine is over, because they will start to smell each other and become familiar with the smells. And you can gauge a lot about their reaction from that. So it's the same thing in the carrier. When I've got the cat in the carrier, does your cat come over? Is it curious? Does it sniff and then just walk away, or sniff and try to reach in and play? Or does it sniff and hiss?
Yeah.
And then if there's some hissing, then you might want to let that cat hang out in that carrier for a little bit and then put it away and try it again a little bit later in small doses. So Oftentimes I just gauge it based on the reaction of the pet, but I think definitely not doing things like bringing the cat out in your arms and yeah, you're going to get torn up and especially introducing cats to dogs. I made that mistake myself one time with a tiny little kitten, and I thought this kitten's going to be oblivious to the dog coming over, and here comes my dog to sniff. The cat went ballistic, scratched me all up, went flying across the room. It was not good. So I learned my lesson early on that.
Little ninja you had there. Yeah, and I think what I'm hearing from you, Amy, is the P word, patience. Because we want things done in an instant. We live in an instant society. Nobody gets a fax. Nobody does anything. We need it right now, but not these newbies in your home as fosters.
Definitely. And if you move too fast and you create a situation that's a negative one, that's going to be their first impression of that other animal. And it's hard to overcome that when they've had a bad experience.
So being a foster parent, they go through some training with you, I'm assuming. And also, how do you arrange to have the pet's food and veterinary care provided?
Definitely something that people need to check into when they're investigating an organization that they're considering volunteering for, is find out what kind of training is available, what supplies are provided, because different organizations do very different things. But most of it ends up being like for us, we have basic animal handling and animal behavior training that our insurance company requires. So that's an online training. And then we do on-the-job training for whatever it might be. So if it's fostering in your home and you've had cats before, there's probably not a whole lot of training other than having that conversation about the introductions and how to set up the space. If it's something like bottle feeding kittens, then when I deliver the kitten, I'm going to do that training. And we do classes regularly, but it's good to do it specifically with that animal when you're getting ready to hand it over and provide that training there.
Let's talk about that, because there's different tiers, different types of needs for the fosters based on their age and their health. So it seems like if you want to bottle feed kittens, you probably don't want 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
Absolutely not.
That's dedication, Amy.
It is, and they're hard to find. But if a rescue or a shelter has several bottle feeders, then what you can do is you can move those kittens around. So maybe, Arden, you take the kittens for however many days, 3 days, or you've got a long weekend, and I take them for 3 or 4 days, and then it goes on to Sue for 3 or 4 days. And you can do that, and that way nobody goes chaotic without sleep. But we have a volunteer she does back-to-back bottle babies. If we've got them, she'll take them, and she'll take them till they're weaned and ready to go.
How long of a time would that be?
We like to hang on to them at least until, if somebody was adopting 2 kittens, then maybe 7 weeks. Okay. If they're going to adopt a single kitten into their home, then we tend to try to push it as close to 10 as we possibly can. Just because there's so much socialization, and it's the same with dogs too. There's so much socialization that occurs that needs to happen in certain age ranges for both animals.
So I have a question for you. My sister and her husband live in Northwest Indiana. Shout out to Karen and Rick. And they're retired, and they have been fostering for a number of years. They have a couple of cats and dogs. I love that. She's a retired ER nurse, so I think she knows how to do some certain things.
Yeah.
But she actually adopted one of the dogs that she was fostering and named the dog Debbie. And then she said a phrase that I'm really trying to erase from our vocabulary. Oh, I'm a foster failure because I ended up adopting the dog. Can you help me here, Amy? I think you should call yourself a foster success. If that is a match you know is going to work. So can you help us with that verbiage?
I can see both sides of the issue with that verbiage. The reason I think rescues look at it as a foster failure is because very often when somebody adopts, then they stop fostering because it's like, I've already got a dog. Now I've got to take care of this dog.
Okay.
Or raise this dog or whatever it might be. And so that happens quite a bit. On the other hand, like you said, there's the issue of if that animal is a fit, then so be it. The animal's got a good home. And so I'm a little bit torn on the issue. I mean, I would prefer Yeah, I would prefer that we keep that pipeline moving so that you always have space and can take animals in. And I think the other thing is having personally fostered more than 3,000 animals. Okay, sometimes that was
Take a place now, girl.
like you think that everyone is special, and you think that maybe this is the one I should keep. This one is so super special. And then guess what? Another super special comes along, and another and another and another. So I think sometimes people will make that decision really quickly, and maybe it's not the best fit for them in some instances as well. Just because they fell in love with it and cared for it, that animal may not be the best fit for their lifestyle long term.
So just take a step back, right?
Yes. And there are organizations, like when I first started volunteering at the city shelter, they would not allow you to adopt anything until you'd volunteered for at least 6 months there, because you do need to if you're going to continue to foster, you need to get used to letting go.
Well, I think foster are angels on earth, don't you think?
Agreed. I mean, so many rescues would not exist without them, and they save lives. With every animal that they take in and every animal that they let go to take in another one is a life saved.
So we're speaking with Amy Castro. How can we find out more about your organization?
Well, we have our website, so it's starlightoutreachandrescue.org, and we are pretty active on Facebook. So we've got a pretty active Facebook page to stay up to date on our latest antics and our latest available pets. And we do a lot of communicating and fundraising and things like that through that Facebook page.
And you also like to get behind a microphone. Tell us about your podcast.
I do. So as you mentioned, the podcast, it was called Starlight Pet Talk. And the name, for people that came from the rescue and then discovered the podcast, it made total sense. For people coming from the outside, what's that about? Starlight. Are we talking about astrology for cats or dogs? No, we are not. So we actually just rebranded it to Muddy Paws and Hairballs, because to me, that's real life with pets.
That is real life with pets. Hey, I want to salute you, Amy Castro, and all the volunteers who are part of your foster team. And for all of you out there who are fostering, bless you all, because every dog, every cat needs to get off on the right paw. And being in a home environment, right, is a good way to do it, Amy.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.